We've been talking about the power of prioritization, especially when it comes to balancing multiple church jobs. And there's no other department in churches that understand what it's like to have multiple jobs than the tech department. So I have today the tech director at my church, Nick Hodge, and we're gonna talk about prioritization right now. So Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you have on your plate that you struggle to prioritize on a daily basis?
I guess the question is going to be how long do we have? So some of the big things that I have to prioritize and look at is we have our Sunday morning experience. So that includes all of our live stuff. So that is front of house sound mix, that is our live stream, cameras, director, the live stream sound, how all that goes out to. You have the words that get presented up on the screen. You have lights. That does not include all of the other, making sure the other systems in the church work. Website is another big one that I have to worry about. I'm kind of the main driving force on how our website is laid out, how it needs to get updated, what needs to get updated, when I need to know information, events, signups. I'm also the IT guy, so making sure internet's running, computers are running, and everything is going.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm overwhelmed and kind of frozen just trying to imagine how to do all of that on any given week. I know you don't have to do it all on the same day, but it's still a lot that has to be done. And as with any job, there's some things that are more urgent than others. There's some things that are more important than others, but it's so hard to get to those with just dealing with the urgent and the stuff that has to get done every single week. I imagine you could easily fill all your expected hours, no problem. So my question for you, Nick, is how do you prioritize some of those tasks? How do you decide what needs to be done now and today and what can be put off for later?
What I always do is I always focus on what is going to move the needle, or better yet, what is most important for the week. So for me, I work on a week cycle just because that's just naturally how churches tend to run. The lead pastor has said, Sunday morning is your focus. That is primary. Friday is my Sunday morning prep. Get everything set up, tear stuff down that needs to get torn down, do all that stuff on Friday. So basically from there, I plan out days of when I can get stuff done. So Tuesday is my meeting day. So any meetings I need to have, I tend to put it on Tuesday. One, because we have an all staff meeting typically on Tuesdays. And then because of that, instead of me trying to work and do a bunch of other stuff, I'll just make it my meeting day for any department I need to talk to, any volunteer that needs to come in. I try to see if I can put those on Tuesday. So I try to, what we call batching. Try to batch like things together so that way I can help stay sane. And then what I do is, if everything needs to get done at the same time, I work on 20%. So there is a theory that 20% of what you do will exude or show 80% of the results. It's going to get it 80% done.
Yeah.
So you do 20% of the work of Sunday mornings. That's 80% done. Now you do the rest of the 80% work, and you only see 20% of the results. To finalize that, that's very important to do that 80% to finish that out. But I like to focus on that 20% effort, at least to get 80% done, because at 80%, you're still passing with a fairly good grade.
Yeah.
And so by getting that done first, then I'm able to then, over most of the board, be able to focus on the rest of the 80% to take it the rest of the way.
Yeah, and I would add to that, like, that 20% is probably the important tasks. The 80% is probably the urgent tasks. The 20%, the important tasks, produce 80% of your results, but yet that 80%, that looming, all the things that I have to do that are so urgent, drown out the important.
That is true.
And that's a big problem. So what are some other things you do to prioritize?
Well, I look through and I try to write down the stuff that needs to get done.
Yeah.
And if I have the time and the tenacity to do it, I will write down the steps that I need to do to get that done. Sometimes I don't do that second part, but I try to write down what needs to get done in any given week, or better yet, in any given day. You can do this daily. Really, what on this list, it's not a laundry list that goes all the way down to the floor. It's literally like a list of 5 things. Usually in any given day, you have 5 things or less that if you get those done, you feel good about the day. I did what I was supposed to do today. I moved the needle. We were in the right direction. And those 5 things, as you said, are usually the most important things that aren't urgent because no one's calling for them. But they are very important to make sure they get done because they're going to move the needle.
Yeah, that is some great advice. And I want to ask you about one other thing that I know you do in just a moment. But first, if you're finding value in this video, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. And let me know in the comments, what are some of the things that you're currently struggling to prioritize right now? Now, Nick, one of the things I've watched you do, especially over the last year, is you've really began to recruit people to help you, specifically students, which as the youth pastor makes me so happy. I love watching them get plugged in and connected and adding so much value to our organization. But what are some things that you do to actually help you recruit and keep those volunteers?
One of the big things is I try to duplicate myself to try to create more time, which on the forefront, it takes way more time to try to train and recruit volunteers. But once you get proficient at it and they get proficient at what you need them to do, it's going to save you loads of time in the future.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I know people who have refused to recruit people to help them to delegate responsibility because it's so much work on the front end. It does almost seem daunting. It's like, I don't have time to train volunteers. But in the long run, you don't have time not to train volunteers. So that's a good point. So continue.
Yeah. So one of the things that I do is I kind of have a process I set up. One is I only try to recruit people who I want to be around. I mean, these are people who I'm around a lot. I'm around, there is a couple volunteers that, one of them is my intern, that they are around me more than my wife is around. So I want to make sure that I find people that I like, or people who are like me or similar enough to me, or have some similar interests. So I try to go to places where they're at. I like the youth because they're just full of life. They want to do something. It's very important to them to do something. If it wasn't for the fact that I started getting involved when I was 14 years old, I know how meaningful that can be. So I really try to talk with them, and I try to, because I enjoy being around them and they're funny and I'm interested in what they're doing, it's easy for me to say, hey, I think you would do a good job at such and such. Well, I don't know about this. This just happened the other day. And I kind of very jokingly and lovingly, because I can do that with teens, persistently push them to say, just try it out for a week. I do what a lot of people call the puppy dog close. You know, if you don't like it, like, let's just try it out for a week, and if you don't like it, we can stop. Like, I know that if you try it out, if you like it, if you take the puppy home with you, I know that you're gonna love it. So just try it out for a week, and if you don't like it, we can stop. And literally, what that does is that takes the pressure off of them. You know, a lot of times in churches, you get, can you run sound for me this week? And they say yes, and then they run sound one week, and like, you were great. You need to do this every week for the rest of your life. That's not how I want to be. I really want to make sure I'm open. So if they don't like it, I'm not going to go after those people. With people, always go after who's like you or who has some similar interest in you, and then make sure that it's easy for them to get in and make sure it's easy for them to back out. When they don't have that pressure, it makes it so much easier for them to want to be involved.
Yeah, I think a lot of times in church leadership, we do have this, like, people don't commit anymore. And it's so frustrating, and we feel this pressure to make people commit. And sometimes knowing there's an out makes it easier to stay committed. And so never be afraid to give somebody an out, even if it's just a short-term commitment. And I love that. Volunteers are so important.
Very much so. They definitely make it so that I'm able to do what I'm supposed to do, which is get all this, I'm supposed to make sure everything gets done, not necessarily do it all myself. Let's make sure it all gets done and taken care of.
Absolutely. Well, Nick, I want to thank you for being on this. I want to thank you for watching. If you would like, Nick has his own YouTube channel where he shares thoughts on his morning drive. This man has some thoughts, so you should check that out. Like this video, subscribe for more content like this, and right now, you should go check out my video on balancing multiple church jobs, and you can check it out right here.